Next up on Boring Gear Reviews, we have the Moire Visceral. Thanks so much to Jesse from Moire for sending me the Visceral. Alright, so the Visceral is a gated sawtooth fuzz that brings you in the territory of like super distorted synth. I'll get into it, but I have to say, the Visceral is one of the gnarliest distortions I've ever heard. So for controls, we have pulse, and that'll control the width of the sawtooth wave. Then we have mix, which is a clean blend, so counterclockwise, you'll introduce more your clean signal, and clockwise, it'll be just the wet signal from the Visceral. And lastly, we have volume, which is the overall output of the pedal while it's on. There's also an internal trim pot here to adjust how gated the fuzz is, but I mean, you can do whatever you want, it's your pedal, but for me, it's dialed in perfectly. I love a gated fuzz, and what I want in a gated fuzz is every time I hit a note to sound like that kind of Velcro is tearing, and if I hold out a note, a long, compressed fuzz thing, and then at the end it starts breaking up and disintegrating and just really falling apart, that's exactly what you get with the Visceral. Sometimes with gated fuzzes, there's a gate initially, and then once that input signal enters the pedal, the gate kind of just stays wide open until it gets very small again. Somehow this manages to do it where like almost every note, even if you're doing chords and single notes, everything manages, the initial attack of every note manages to get that Velcro ripping gated fuzz happening. I don't know how it works, but it's rad. For today's demo, I'm using my 2021 Dunable Yeti Custom, and this has Dunable Grizzly pickups. These are custom wound, so they are low output and unpotted. And as per usual, that's going into my UAD Apollo X6, and I'm going to be using the Softtube JMP 2203 amp sim. So in this first clip, we're going to be running the pulse at 3, the mix at 3, and the volume all the way maxed. So this is going to do what I was talking about, where the beginning of every note and every chord is going to be a little bit gated, so you get that kind of tearing Velcro thing happening. And then it's going to bloom into just one of the gnarliest and kind of throatiest and most aggressive fuzz I've ever had. What's cool about this is I'm introducing just a little bit of my clean signal, so you still get like a crazy amount of clarity. With a distortion like this, clarity is not something you're usually going to say. You're just looking for kind of like massive, punishing, crushing tone. But because you can introduce some of your clean signal, you can maintain like individual note separation as well as the kind of tonal characteristics of the guitar. This Dunable Yeti is very, there's like a huge mid hump, which I love, and it's almost a little bit like honky in the tone, and you get to keep some of that characteristic by using this clean blend. Super, super cool. Okay, so when you have a pedal that is hyper aggressive like this, it's really exciting and satisfying when you can find a tone that is also beautiful. And that goes to the strength of this pedal not being just one thing. It's not just a kind of rip your head off sawtooth fuzz. I mean, it is that, but you can also manage to do something that is completely unique and also very pretty. So to that end, we are going to be having the pulse knob at 10 o'clock, the mix at 9. So I'm mostly using my clean signal, and then the volume is maxed again. That will be feeding into the non-human audio slow loris. If you'd like to see a full video of the slow loris, click the link right here. So here we get this super biting, almost like a buzzing bee kind of thing happening in the fuzz. But that's behind my clean signal, which is just completely clean. It's just the sound of the guitar going into the JMP 2203. And then that's the part that you hear the most of the slapback and vibrato and chorusing from the slow loris. And this just makes for a super complex and very unique and original sound that, I don't know, I really love. Enjoy. And in this last clip, we're going to be using the Visceral very aggressively again. So here we're going to have the pulse just before 3 o'clock, and then we're going to max both the mix and the volume. So here it's going to be a super thick, very gated fuzz. One thing about the pulse control is while it is adjusting the kind of size and tightness of the square wave, it also adjusts EQ with that. So as you move the pulse knob clockwise, you get some thicker tones as well. And here you can really hear the strength of that gate as I'm digging in hard, and it's like really struggling almost to get some of these notes out, which makes for just a very kind of tortured and crushing sound. In the second half of the clip, I'm going to engage the Chaseless Audio Thermae. And this will not only be adding a little bit of delay and movement and space, but some pitch sequencing as well. A lot of people have messaged me asking how I use the Thermae for heavier music, and here's a really good example of it. There are many, but this is a good example where you can just create a bunch of movement and kind of chaos is the right word, and it's also not. You create a lot of kind of movement and spectacle behind your playing that just makes things sound a little more frantic than they actually are. And that is one way to use like pitch sequencing and delay with heavy music. And that'll be going into the Chase Bliss and Maris CXM 1978. And here we're gonna have like a large plate reverb. So in the last part of this clip, I'm gonna roll the volume down on my guitar, and you'll hear how it gets much more synthy and almost like you hear some more sub frequencies coming in. It's super, super cool. And it really is a testament to how versatile this pedal is. Okay, that'll do it for the Visceral from Wah. This is an insane pedal. When you first, at least when I first plugged it in, it felt like, oh shit, like what do I do? Where do I fit in, and where does this fit in with me? And then after about, I don't know, 5 minutes or something like that, I was like, this sound is a tone I've heard in my head or wanted to hear, but I haven't quite been able to get, at least not without like multiple effects. This does the thing that you want it to do. If you are looking for that ripping, gated sawtooth fuzz with like a ton of punch and clarity, but it's EQ'd in a way that it handles, this guitar is tuned to B, so it handles low-tuned guitars unbelievably well. It does fine with higher-tuned guitars too, but it's tough to find heavy distortions that are kind of geared especially to really low-tuned guitars or bass, and this is definitely one of them. And it even has my name on it. So I really think if you're looking for a distortion that is new, like something you haven't heard before that can do a type of aggressive tone, it's just so gnarly and throaty and in your face. This is like, the best of those qualities. Right now, he's got some super rad, custom swirly paint versions of this too, which is really cool. So I highly suggest you check them out. Links for everything in the description below. Thank you so much for watching. If you're not subscribed and you dig the content, please consider hitting that subscribe and like and share and comment and whatever. I really appreciate it. All the support you guys give me is super cool and exciting, and just thank you. And until next week, peace.